Hello. We are going to start this video going through the beginning of Project 1. So as those who are in class know, Project 1 is going to start with altering a block to match this spec. This project will last 2 weeks. Today we'll just go through the first week content. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the block that I saved for you on your drive. We're going to make these adjustments. Okay, so part of this practice is looking at specs, looking at detailed sketches, and making pattern adjustments based off of what you've been given from perhaps a designer or a tech designer or a factory. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take the TC322-2502 model and save as with components. I am on my home computer, so I'm not on the Z drive. If you are doing this at school, you should be saving to your Z drive. Okay, we're going to replace this initial model name with our initials, 2502. And say apply and say okay. Oh, I already have a model that's named this. Let's do this. Okay, I'm just going to make a second one because I have already created a model and I don't want to save over it. Okay, we're going to open this model up. We're going to bring our pieces down. So the first thing we need to do is take a look at these, get rid of all of our stuff. The first thing we need to do is look at our pattern compared to our sketch and our spec. So the biggest differences we see, right, is a body length, neck shape. We need princess seams and facings and a back yoke. So let's start with the neckline. So to change our front neckline, which is currently sort of a basic crew, we can do one of many things. We can do modify smooth line. We can do create offset uneven. In class, what we did was create a 2-point curved line. Okay. But before we do this, we need to figure out where we're bunny clicking on center front. So we need to know what this front neck drop is. So we're going to go and look at our spec, which I have open here. Okay. So the front neck drop is 7. Okay. But I already have an existing front neck drop. So I need to figure out what this number is. So I'm going to measure this line. Okay, so 2.648. So I need to take 7 minus 2.648. Okay, that equals 4.352. That's the number we're going to use to bunny click, because when we bunny click, we're measuring from this endpoint, not from high point shoulder. But our front neck drop is measured from high point shoulder. So we're going to go create 2-point curve. We're going to click and drag into the high point shoulder line. And then we're going to bunny click on the center front line. This is the correct direction. So in this field, I can type 4.352, or I can also type 7 minus 2.648. You can do math inside of these value functions. Okay, and I'm going to say okay. All right, and then I get to make my curve. So we just want a really slight curve, nothing crazy. This is a V-neck, but I like a little bit of a curve for a better fit. Okay, now we have our new line. We are going to swap it. So we're going to go to modify, line actions, swap. We're going to choose delete original in our right hand menu. We're going to choose your internal line first and say okay. Choose your neckline second and say okay. Then to get this line to extend, we can't use extend because extend works inside of a piece. However, I like to use this tool. It's called adjust. You can also use single point or point line. Adjust just changes the length of a line. All you have to do is select the line, and then it'll let you select an endpoint. So you select the endpoint you want to move, and then you snap that to center point. Okay. All right. So that takes care of our neckline. So the next thing we want to do is perhaps lengthen our body. So we are going to do create offset even, all right? But we need to know what our body length is. So we know our neck drop is 7, and let's see what our center front length is. 19.5. If I measure them together, it tells me what they are together. Over here, 26.55. 26.55, okay? Just writing that down. Then I'm going to go to my spec, and center front length from high point shoulder is 34. So the offset amount is going to be 34 minus 26.55. So I'm going to go to create offset, and let's see, I want to make sure I'm on replace, not add. And I'm going to select both of my sweep lines, and I'm going to bunny click, and I'm going to say 34 minus 26.5. Please note, if you're doing math in the value cell, you have to still pay attention to the positives and negatives. If I was moving this in the negative direction, I would need to put a negative in front of this with parentheses. Okay, so that whatever they would do the math, and then it would apply the negative value. This is positive, but just please note, if you're going to use the math, you still have to use your positives and negatives. So I'm going to say okay, and it went ahead and deleted my old line. So now that I have my sweep in, I need to check to make sure that my sweep measures correctly. So the sweep I'm looking for is 42, and my current sweep is 21.5 times 2, which is 43. Okay, so 43 minus 42 is 1 inch. So the amount that I need to reduce my sweep is 1 inch. But I have 4 panels, so 1 divided by 4 is 1/4. So I'm going to use create offset uneven, and I'm going to click and drag into my bottom hem, and I'm going to say minus 0.25. Please note I'm on replace. And then I'm going to click and drag into my waist, because I know I don't want to change that, and I'm going to say 0. And then I'm going to say okay. I'll do the same on my back, minus 0.25, 0, and say okay. All right. Now, if I were to measure my bottom opening again, I get 21 times 2 is 42. Which is correct. Now, note on my spec, I have a hip placement and a hip circumference. My hip placement is 6 inches below waist, so let me make a line for that. So I'm going to go to create offset even, but I'm going to say add. And I'm going to take both of these waistlines, and I'm going to type in -6. Okay. Then I'm going to go modify, line actions, extend, and I'm going to extend this line and extend this line. Okay. Both of these lines are extended now. I'm going to verify their measurements. So I'm going to select both of them. System adds it for me. So I have 20.929 times 2 is 41.858. 41.858. And my hip should be 42.25. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and do that math because I'm going to have to split it. So my difference is 0.392. Okay. So, but I have to take 0.392 and divide it by 4, because I have 4 panels again, okay? So 0.392 divided by 4 is 0.098. So I'm going to go back to create offset uneven. This time I want to go to 0 at the hem because I've already made an adjustment. And then at my hip point, oops, I don't have a hip point. Okay, let's fix that. So first I need to create a standard notch. Make sure you're on single notch. I'm going to right click intersection. I'm going to select the internal line first and the perimeter second. I'm going to stay on intersection and I'm going to select the internal line first and the perimeter second. And then I'm going to say OK. Now your line is going to overlap your notch, so it's going to be hard to see it, but if you have Snap to Geometry on and you click and drag into that point, you will see a yellow box that says notch on it. Sometimes if you're in value mode, the yellow boxes are a little glitchy. So notch 1, that means I have a notch there, okay? So now I can go back to create offset uneven. I'm selecting 0 here, and then I'm dragging into this new notch and I'm typing my positive 0.098. Okay, remember my hip was 41.8 something, and my desired hip, my target hip for my spec is 42 1/4. So I'm expanding my hip. Okay, and then to 0 at the waist again. Okay, 0.098, 0. Okay, and then I'm just going to extend these lines again so that they reflect the new measurement. Okay, now if I were to go and clear my measurements and do line length again, I get 21 1/8, 21 1/8, which comes out to 42 1/4, which is the measurement I wanted. Okay. All right. Next, we need to check if our yoke seam is in the right place and then draw our princess seams. So my yoke seam, I have an across back seam here. I just want to verify. I'm going to use verify measure straight. And I'm going to click into this point and click into this point. And I get 4.5 inches. Let's check my spec. Back yoke seam placement from high point shoulder is 4.5 inches. So all I need to do is connect my darts into my seams. So I'm going to do create 2 point. I'm going to look at my sketch. Oops. Okay. So what I want at the bottom is 7.75 divided by 2 is 3 1/8. So I'm going to click and drag into the bottom of my dart, and I'm going to bunny click on the bottom hem. I'm going to go from center back 3.875. Okay. I'm going to do the same on my front, same placement on the front as back. Okay. From center front 3.875. Okay. So for the front, that creates my princess seam. The darts create part of it. On the back, I need to blend this dart into the back yoke seam. But at the back yoke seam, I have a wider placement. So I'm going to have to create a slight curved line. And I want 9 inches, so half of that is 4.5. So I'm going to do 2 point curve from the top of my dart to the yoke seam. And I want it from the end because I only know this distance right here, and this should be 4.5. Okay. And then I'm just going to add a nice, very subtle curve, taking care not to extend beyond that horizontal line that extends out from the dart. Okay. Lastly, we just need to make our facing lines. So we're going to create offset add. We're going to choose our armholes, and we're going to bunny click, and we're going to say -2. Okay. And then on the front, we're going to create a 2 point curved line. We're going to bunny click on the dart. And we're going to do 2 here. Get out of value mode. 2 here. And we're going to make a nice curve. Okay. And then we're just going to clip this line at the yoke.